Hi there! So, I am here doing my WCG number 5, the Professional Development Research assignment. I worked with my school administrators, multiple administrators, to come up with some different needs of our school. I actually did this at the end of last school year and the beginning of this school year. I have already implemented my professional learning community, my non-mandatory professional development that occurs every week. But today I will just be talking about the needs of my school and the research that I did. I'll mention a little bit how I've already started implementing the different practices I found to be most effective into our PLC, but I'll be talking most about that next week, or when WCG 6 is due. Okay, so needs of our school. My administration at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, primarily my assistant principal in charge of discipline, we decided that there were a few different areas that we needed some help with. The first being student engagement. Teaching middle school kids are often more interested in what's going on with their friends, with sports, with their phones. So we decided that we needed to work on getting students more engaged. We also wanted to work on classroom management and teacher managed behaviors, primarily because we were having a handful of teachers who were calling for a dean or calling for an administrator quite often for teacher managed behaviors. So we wanted to give them some tools on things that they could try in their classroom before they looked for help outside of the classroom. Next thing, our PBS committee was looking to implement Hounds Points as part of our PBS system. This is a new initiative, so we wanted to implement some tools that would make this easier for teachers. We just have little sheets of paper. Students are able to get 2 points per class period per day for being to class on time and in dress code. So we were hoping to find something that would help to make this tracking system easier for teachers, as most teachers do have 120 minimum students a day. So something to really streamline that for teachers and to make their lives a little bit easier with the Hounds Points, while also giving students those points for good behaviors. Other thing that we wanted to work on was checks for understanding, being able to give students feedback quickly based on something that they have just done, such as a quiz, test spec question, something like that, so that teachers are able to really talk about those questions immediately, give immediate feedback. So we wanted to work on that as well. Last thing that we really needed and we wanted to implement was BYOD, the Bring Your Own Device initiative. Our county has been trying to gradually implement. We are a Title I school, so this is a little bit difficult for us, as not all of our students have tablets or smartphones. That kind of actually works to our advantage a little bit, though, in that we just had our instructional review, and two things that they really, really wanted us to work on was collaborative pairs and accountable talk. So students working with one another with one device actually ends up encouraging accountable talk and collaborative pairs. So those are some of our needs at our school. We decided that one way to really hit a lot of these needs was to develop a professional learning community that focused on technology in the classroom. This would allow for that student engagement, BYOD, collaborative pairs, accountable talk, classroom management, in some cases not all tech tools, but definitely keeping students engaged in order to reduce some of those teacher managed behaviors that we're not very fond of. This would also, there was one tech tool in particular that would help with our PBS Hounds Points initiative, and many, many, many tools to help check for understanding. So we decided to do what we're calling Technology Tuesdays. While I was doing research, and again, I'm going to talk more about Tech Tuesdays for WCG number 6, but some ways to go about doing this. There were 2 articles that really stuck out to me. The first being the Educational Leadership article titled How Teachers Lead Teachers. It gave a lot of very, very straightforward, easy to implement tips for teachers who were looking to start a professional learning community or a professional development. So I used that more than anything. But I also used a visible learning article. This was more for developing a leadership program, but I thought it was really important for me as someone who's trying to be a leader in my school. They definitely had some practical things for leaders to remember when developing a PLC and when trying to lead other teachers. So, in our Teachers Lead Teachers article, How Teachers Lead Teachers article, some of the tips that they gave. Use humor. I definitely, in my advertisements for this PD, tried to do just that. Include all content areas and all teachers. I love a technology tool called Class Dojo, but I know that that does not work for all teachers. So I really had to kind of do some digging, do some research whenever I was developing this technology PD to make sure that I came up with different technology strategies that multiple subject areas could use. Teachers at any skill level with technology could use as well, because I know that that is usually very intimidating. That kind of goes with the next thing I'm going to talk about, which is next tip was to explain strategies briefly and then give participants a chance to practice or observe. Whenever I was doing my Class Dojo, that was the very first one that I did, I kind of was stumped because I could have stood up there and told them everything that was great about Class Dojo, given them a ton of information on it, and gone on my way. But I instead decided to show it to them in use so that they could see how it would look in their classroom and see how it could benefit them in their classroom if they wanted to implement it. So I definitely had a lot of interested teachers because they were like, oh, I didn't know students could do this. Oh, I didn't know it was that easy to do, and things like that. So just showing them exactly how it would be used in class was definitely helpful. Frame as easy and adoptable, not intimidating, was the next tip from this article. I have been trying to make this as simple as possible, especially because teachers do not need more things on their plate just to do. If it's not useful, if it's not something that they want to use or are interested in using it in their classroom, they shouldn't have to. So that's why we made sure that this PLC was not mandatory. It was instead voluntary. So definitely try to keep it brief and helpful instead of monotonous. Wanted to make sure I was presenting myself as a continual learner. That was something that both articles talked about. I'm going to talk more about that in WCG 6, but we definitely did put some things in place in order to make sure that teachers knew that I am learning as well. I am not telling them exactly what to do. I'm not telling them to implement everything, but definitely wanted them to know that I am looking for tips and tricks as well. Definitely included some samples of student work in that I didn't ask them to do or implement anything that I had not tried yet. I didn't want it to be I didn't want to suggest something and then have it totally backfire. I wanted to know exactly what I was I wanted to know what I was showing them before I showed it to them. So I made sure to implement it so that they had a little more buy-in as well. Some quotes from the Visible Learning article that really stuck out to me. Again, recognize your role as a lead learner. I talked a little bit about that already, and I'll talk more about that in WCG 6. Recognize that instructional shifts are not immediate. leaders engage faculty in ongoing professional learning across multiple settings. That is probably the best quote to describe what it is that we're trying to do and how it is that we're trying to do it. We decided, instead of doing one PD that showcases multiple different tech tools, to do this over the course of the year and not overwhelm teachers. So that really stuck out to me. And last but not least, teachers need to know that as they change their instruction to have greater impact on student learning, they are safe to try and even fail. So wanted to make sure that teachers knew some tech tools may work great in their class and some may not, but don't give up, keep trying, find what works, and really go for it. So that's a little bit about some of the research that I did, the needs that we were looking to address at my school. Can't wait to tell you how my professional development has been going at my school thus far with WCG 6. But until then, have a great Monday, a great start to your week, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.